Does your kitchen faucet do this? Now this video here is specific for the Kohler model faucets with the pull down spray nozzle. Same principle is going to apply to just about any kind of faucet that's like this. But if you have a Kohler, then you probably are going to have this exact same setup here. Let me explain to you how this faucet works, and then after we have a good understanding of how it's supposed to work, I'll show you where things are going wrong to cause this water leak. Let's get into it. So we're down here under the sink looking up at this fixture. So looking up at the bottom of the sink, you can see that threaded brass piece coming through with all the hoses sticking out of it. That's where your faucet goes up through the sink. And all these hoses, you've got hot that's on the left, cold that's on the right, and we have shutoff valves on those. That's usually standard. It's a dead giveaway. Now, if you're in West Virginia or east of the Mississippi, you need to verify that because we can't make that guarantee. But generally, as a rule of thumb, that's how all sinks are plumbed. Now, this one here in the middle, this black line that's kind of flexible, this is our sprayer head. And this is our troublemaker right now. If you look down here, there's a little ball looking thing on that line. That's a stopper to keep it from pulling up further than you want it to. As you pull this out, that ball moves up and eventually bottoms out and it stops. Now what's happening here in our case is the hose is actually leaking right at the very end where the swivel is at, where the hose threads onto the sprayer head. And this leak, while it might not look like a really big deal, when you slide the sprayer head up into the faucet assembly, it seals up tight enough around here that that water can't drip down anymore. It'll actually start to build up in here. It's going to run out right here at this first little swivel joint where the faucet moves left to right. Also keep in mind, if it's running back that far, it's also running out that brass piece and making your counter wet underneath. So be prepared to deal with that. Now you might say, do we need to cut the water off before we do this repair? Are we going to have a flood in our kitchen? No, you don't. Reason why is because those hot and cold water lines I showed you under the counter earlier, they run up into a valve behind here that's basically a mixing valve. And that mixing valve is going to decide whether it sends hot water or cold water or maybe warm water, a mixture of both, out this spray nozzle. And so what it does is the hot and cold water lines come into that valve, and then the outlet side of that valve, which is normally shut off, is where this hose connects to. And as long as you don't have this handle on, there shouldn't be any water squirting out of that when you take it loose. If water squirts out, you took loose the wrong line. Now, thanks to Amazon, we were able to buy a Chinese knockoff of the original Kohler part for about 1/10 of the price. And honestly, I doubt this was made in America anyway, so I feel pretty good about it. I'm going to post a link for this in the description so that y'all with Kohler faucets can go find one on Amazon. This hose is pretty generic. It works with all these style faucets. The only thing you need to know is the connection. Some of them have threaded connections for like a flare style fitting. Others have like a brass sleeve for like a push connect or quick connect. This hose has the belled end that goes onto your sprayer head. It has a threaded end that goes into a coupler, which then has a quick connect end on the other end of it that goes onto the actual faucet portion. It's kind of a weird setup, honestly, but they did this so that you don't really need any tools to work on it. I guess because they knew it was a piece of junk and it was going to break. Only thing I brought is a Phillips screwdriver.
No power tools.
Let's see if we can swap this out with just this. And the only thing I need this for is to take loose that wrecking ball that's keeping it from pulling all the way out, because we do need to remove the old hose. Now this quick connect here has a thumb tab, and all you're going to do is simply push on it and then pull down.
Oh, would you look at that?
Then you're simply just going to unthread it from the hose, and mine wasn't even tight enough that I needed a wrench. Ah! Okay, so a little bit of water will come out. Perfect. kind of had to do a little twisting and finagling to get it to go down. Now we're just going to go ahead and put our sprayer head on here. And we're just going to go with a good snug hand tight there. So here's a good look at the threaded end of the hose. Now this piece didn't want to thread on there very good, and then I realized they sent this baggie of fittings. Apparently this is an adapter that they sent. Got a little bit finer threads on it. And that really goes up in there good. So what we'll do is then we'll thread this onto there. Now that works. I probably am going to get a wrench and just snug that just a tad afterwards because I don't trust it. This one pretty much bottoms out and gets tight. I'm comfortable with it. It's only plastic. You can't tighten it that much. This one I want to tighten a little bit more. But other than that, we should be able to connect this now. Should be good to go. And all we're going to do, you don't have to mess with this little push tab. There you kind of get a good view of how you would just push that to pull this hose off the quick connect end at your faucet. To put it back on, you just push and it snaps. You'll hear a click when it goes in. Click. See? Did you really need a plumber? Clearly, we did something wrong. It should not do that. Now, the Chinese that made this hose was nice enough to send a rubber O-ring, a plastic housing for the rubber O-ring, and also a washer. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this plastic housing they send, put the rubber O-ring inside of it. We put that in there like that, and then this washer is going to sit on top of that flat plastic piece. That is going to create a seal, and this time it shouldn't leak. A new faucet's about 180 bucks, maybe 150. This part here, I think about $17. I'm going to let you decide.